Welcome to today's deep dive.
Cool.
We're opening up a profoundly fascinating piece of writing today.
Yeah, a really incredible journal entry.
Right. It's from the Sacred Return Journal by Dr. Noma Netzel. She is a sacred relationship healer.
Exactly. And our mission for this deep dive is to figure out exactly how we process the vivid and sometimes, terrifying imagery of our own dreams.
Yeah, we're setting out to discover if the things we see when we close our eyes are merely like neurological tricks played by an exhausted brain,
Hmm.
or if they are profound, urgent messages just waiting to be decoded.
It is such a big question. We are essentially tackling the space between the chapters of our waking lives because culturally, we've inherited this assumption that sleep is just a passive reboot sequence.
Right, like you just plug yourself in.
Exactly. You power down, you recharge the battery, and the things that happen in the dark simply do not matter in the daylight. But her work challenges that assumption at its very root.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because the way she sets the scene in this journal entry is something I think, well, every single person listening to this has experienced at least once.
Oh, absolutely.
She talks about the sheer physical exhaustion of dreaming.
I,
Have you ever had one of those nights where you are walking long distances in your sleep?
yeah, or running away from something.
Right. You are just endlessly trekking across some bizarre, shifting dream landscape.
Right.
And when your alarm finally goes off, your legs literally feel heavy. You wake up physically exhausted.
Or you wake up and it is pitch black. Your heart is absolutely hammering against your ribs and you are sweating through the sheets. Your nervous system is firing as if a literal predator is in the bedroom with you.
It's wild. If you think about it, the sleeping brain operates incredibly similarly to a high-tech flight simulator.
Oh, that is a great way to put it.
Right. It constructs an environment so dense, so incredibly real and vivid, that your physical body completely buys into the illusion. I mean, your cardiovascular system reacts.
Your muscles tense up.
Exactly, your adrenal glands pump. Which forces a rather uncomfortable question. What does the word real actually mean if our bodies cannot tell the difference between a waking threat and a sleeping one?
And that physiological blur is exactly where she grounds her philosophy. If your muscles and your heart rate are physically responding to the stimuli of a dream, well, dismissing the experience as a mere hallucination is a failure to listen to your own body.
Right. It's like ignoring a check engine light on your car.
Exactly. Dr. Nitzel completely rejects the modern, highly rationalized idea that dreams are just the mind playing tricks. She points out that treating the dream space as biological noise is a learned behavior. It is a modern habit.
I have to play devil's advocate here for a second, though. We have all had those nights where you eat something insanely spicy at 10 o'clock at night, or you fall asleep watching an incredibly stressful thriller, and your brain just spits out a chaotic nightmare.
Sure, yeah.
The physical reaction is real. You wake up sweating, but the catalyst was just bad digestion or residual screen time. How does she, or anyone for that matter, draw the line between random biological noise and a genuine, profound subconscious message?
That is the crucial distinction to make when approaching her work. Biological noise is usually disjointed. It is a random firing of synapses trying to process immediate physical discomfort, like you said.
Yeah.
But what Dr. Netzel experiences relies on deep narrative consistency.
Which makes so much sense when you look at her background. She contextualizes this by sharing a highly personal detail from her childhood. She reveals that since she was just 4 years old, she has been seeing things in her dreams that later come to light in reality.
Yeah, and carrying that kind of awareness before you even know how to tie your shoes is a staggering psychological load. A 4-year-old doesn't have the vocabulary to explain prophetic visions.
No, of course not.
And the adults around her certainly didn't have the framework to accept it. She writes that she was actively conditioned to believe these visions were unreal. She was told these were things she wasn't meant to see.
Right, because we build a culture entirely around measurable data. If you cannot put it in a spreadsheet or prove it under fluorescent lights, it just gets filed away as imagination.
Exactly. And when a child is repeatedly told that their internal reality is invalid, they internalize that societal dismissal. They learn to wall off that intuition.
But she believed that conditioning until she couldn't anymore. The sheer volume of evidence made it impossible to ignore because the things she saw in the dark kept materializing in the daylight.
Right. She eventually reached a breaking point where she had to, in her words, own up to this powerful aspect of herself.
And taking ownership of that intuition requires breaking a deeply ingrained psychological habit. I mean, if our nervous system physically reacts to a dream, Isn't it dismissive to call it just a trick? Isn't the body telling us to pay attention?
That is precisely her point. He is advocating for a massive paradigm shift here. As a sacred relationship healer, she is not just talking about mending dynamics between two people. She is demanding that we heal the fractured relationship between our conscious, logical mind and our subconscious wisdom.
Which means once you make the conscious decision to stop gaslighting yourself, you can no longer run away from the terrifying imagery your brain serves up.
You have to turn around and face it.
Yeah. And in this specific entry, she documents a dream where she isn't just having a vague, floaty nightmare. She is actively being chased by snakes.
The details she records about this pursuit are really fascinating. These weren't passive snakes hiding in the grass, acting as a hidden trap.
No, they were aggressive.
Very aggressive. They were active pursuers. She notes that there were multiple snakes, and more importantly, they recognized her.
That is the part that gets me. The text specifically states they could smell her aura from afar and came running straight for her.
Right, they didn't just stumble upon her in the dream landscape.
That detail about smelling her aura completely changes the mechanics of a typical nightmare. When we dream of being chased, we usually assume we are just the unlucky victim of a random, faceless monster. But if these snakes are tracking her specific aura, they are intimately connected to her.
They are drawn to something she is radiating. They are hunting a frequency she is putting out. Culturally, though, that is a heavily loaded symbol to process. She brings up the biblical teaching that conditions us to fear snakes universally.
Right, we are taught from a very young age that they represent evil, deception, and pure danger. The conditioned response to seeing a snake is to run for your life, which is exactly what she was doing in the dream.
Running is the biological imperative. But life has taught her something far more nuanced than that simple biblical binary of good versus evil. She points out that while snakes can be deceiving, they are also historically revered as creatures of immense wisdom.
Oh, absolutely. They physically shed their skin. They are the ultimate biological metaphor for transformation and rebirth.
Because she has committed to no longer dismissing her inner world, she has to override that biological imperative to run. She wakes up with her heart racing, but instead of writing it off as an evil attack, she leans into the wisdom of the symbol.
So she subjects herself to these highly confrontational questions. She asks herself, what are you running away from currently? What part of you are you not ready to see clearly? And most critically, what needs shedding?
And asking the question is one thing, but sitting quietly enough to hear the answer requires incredible vulnerability.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the realization she comes to completely reframes the concept of a nightmare. Think about the snakes in this dream, not as horror movie villains trying to destroy her, but like a blaring smartphone alarm that you just keep hitting the snooze button on.
Oh, the subconscious escalation. I love that analogy.
Yeah. You know when you set an alarm for a task you are dreading and you just keep swatting at the phone, you are buying yourself 9 more minutes of avoidance.
We have all been there.
Right. But the alarm doesn't get more aggressive because it hates you.
Uh-huh.
It gets louder and more obnoxious because the message is genuinely urgent. It has a duty to wake you up. The snakes are the alarm.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that analogy aligns perfectly with what she discovers when she finally stops hitting snooze. She realizes she had been receiving important messages for quite some time, and she had even been doing the work of writing these dreams down in her journal.
But recording the data is useless if you never analyze it.
Yeah.
She was treating these profound insights like an administrative chore she could just put off indefinitely.
Exactly. Her conscious mind was procrastinating, so her subconscious mind escalated the threat level. It sent the snakes. It manufactured a scenario so terrifying and so tied to her personal aura that her physical body had to wake up in a sweat.
And what is truly remarkable is how her emotional state shifts once she decodes this mechanism. The fear just evaporates. She writes that she's actually grateful to the snakes for chasing her.
Feeling gratitude toward the monster in your nightmare is a wild psychological flip.
It really is. She is thanking them because they forced her to turn around and look at the parts of her own life that were stagnating. They forced her to identify the old skin she was dragging around.
And this internal revelation does not happen in a vacuum. She ties this profound psychological breakthrough to very specific external cosmic timing.
Right, the journal entry is tied to a specific date, July 7, 2026.
Yeah.
Which she refers to as the 77 portal.
Yes, an energetic window focused entirely on completion. It creates a specific container for the work. She also notes that this date coincided with the last quarter of the moon.
And in her framework, The last quarter moon carries an energy that actively supports releasing whatever is no longer in alignment.
Exactly. The visible light of the moon is receding, physically shrinking in the sky, which acts as a macrocosmic signal to let go of the microcosmic baggage you were holding on to.
And as if those two markers weren't enough, she emphasizes that this all occurred during a retrograde. Now, we usually talk about retrogrades as these chaotic periods of technological glitches and miscommunications,
Missing emails and delayed flights.
right? But her interpretation zeroes in on the linguistics of the word itself. She emphasizes the prefix ria, review, reconnect, reconsider.
She strips away the chaos often associated with retrogrades and focuses on its utility. It is a period dealing with communication, contracts, and agreements. It is a built-in, unavoidable period for going backward before you can safely move forward.
So what does this all mean? Well, I think the psychological utility of these external frameworks is immense, even for listeners who aren't familiar with astrology at all.
How so?
Well, human beings are notoriously bad at unprompted self-correction. Our society demands constant, unrelenting forward momentum. We almost never voluntarily schedule time to review the old psychological contracts we signed with ourselves a decade ago. It acts as a psychological spring cleaning.
This raises an important question about how we structure our self-reflection, because we require friction to slow us down. We need a catalyst to pause the machine. For Dr. Netzel, the external markers of the cosmos provided that justified friction.
It was a scheduled time to force a life review. The cosmos essentially handed her a calendar invite to do the hard internal work.
Exactly. The retrograde demanded a review, the last quarter moon demanded a release, and the 77 portal demanded completion. Together, they formed the ultimate permission slip to finally open the dream journal she had been ignoring. It emphasizes the value of having a designated time to release what is in completion.
Having navigated this terrifying imagery, decoded the symbols, and aligned her actions with the cosmic timing, she turns her attention outward. The final section of her journal entry is a direct call to action for the reader.
She delivers a statement with striking clarity. She says, "Your dreams are valid."
And we need to define the parameters of that statement, because in modern self-help culture, validating your dreams usually means supporting your ambition to start a business or run a marathon. But she is being entirely literal.
Yes, she means the actual visions you have when you are asleep. She is validating the bizarre, nonlinear, sometimes horrifying movies playing in your head at 3 in the morning.
She urges us to acknowledge them, to own them, and make the most of life. She wants us to recognize the deep interconnectedness of our reality.
Right, the things happening in the pitch black of your subconscious are inextricably linked to the decisions you make in the broad daylight of your daily routine. She tells her readers that they are, in her exact words, beyond measure.
Which is a beautiful counter to the modern obsession with, spreadsheets and data tracking. It suggests that the logical, rational avatar we operate during the day is just a tiny fraction of our actual capacity.
We possess a vast, immeasurable inner landscape, and we are granted access to this vastness every single time we fall asleep. And the ultimate realization she points to is that you may be searching endlessly for answers that have already been given to you in your dreams.
We spend our waking hours agonizing over career choices. We seek out advice from mentors, completely ignoring the possibility that the answers we are desperately hunting for have already been given to us. They are just sitting in the unread inbox of our dream state. So think about the snakes chasing you right now. I am speaking directly to you, the person listening to this deep dive.
You might not be dreaming of literal reptiles, but what is that recurring thought you keep swatting away during the day?
What is that quiet, uncomfortable intuition you keep ignoring? Because addressing it would be inconvenient.
What is the alarm you keep snoozing?
Exactly. What postponed decision is tracking your aura right now? What old, restrictive skin needs shedding in your life today?
Because knowledge only holds value when it is actively applied. Dr. Nsell does not want her readers to become passive observers of their sleep patterns, keeping dream journals that just gather dust on a nightstand.
Right, she demands active engagement.
Her closing instruction is essentially a command to her readers. Own it. Take ownership of that powerful, intuitive aspect of yourself. If we take her premise seriously, it fundamentally changes our relationship with our own minds. We view the morning alarm as the starting gun for the day's difficult labor. We assume the hard work begins the moment our feet hit the floor.
It reframes the entire concept of waking up. So to recap the journey of this deep dive today, we went from the visceral reality of waking up exhausted with a racing heart trapped in a high-tech flight simulator.
And then we follow Dr. Netzel as she bravely refused to dismiss that exhaustion, reframing scary symbols like snakes into wise messengers demanding transformation.
Right, and utilizing cosmic timing like retrogrades and the 77 portal to finally shed what no longer serves us. It has been an incredible exploration.
It has, and it leaves us with a truly provocative final thought. Because if Dr. Nansel is right, and the answers we are desperately looking for have already been calculated and delivered to us in our dreams, then waking up isn't the beginning of the work.
Well, wait, really?
Think about it. Perhaps the act of waking up in the morning is simply the moment we download the profound heavy lifting our mind has already completed in the dark.
Oh, I love that. The heavy lifting happens while we sleep, and the daylight is just for the execution of the plan.
Exactly.
Well, next time your alarm goes off and you feel that lingering adrenaline from a bizarre dream, do not just brush it off as biological noise or a trick of the mind. Pay attention to what the simulation was trying to teach you. Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration today. Tonight, when you close your eyes, do not be afraid of whatever is chasing you. Lean in, listen closely, and pay attention to your dreams. We will catch you on the next deep dive.